think just only underscore the heightened nature of this moment. And I think one of the things that is remarkable is that we didn't feel the need to do this in Trump's first term. That we had guidelines, we had overriding principles, we set out expectations and standards of conduct, but we never felt we needed to codify those standards in statute. And the fact that we do today, just a few months into his administration, I think just underscore the world that we're living in. I don't know what more evidence people need to recognize the nature of the threat, the deviation from normalcy that we're experiencing in this country in every conceivable way, but none more impactful than our diverse communities here in Southern California. So again, just deep point of pride to have the privilege of being able to sign these bills, to legally push back and to assert ourselves in the court of public opinion as well.
Governor, you know that the Supreme Court has given the administration wide authority when it comes to immigration. The Supremacy Clause says that federal law trumps state law. Talk about the legal justification for doing this, and are you concerned that the Supreme Court might strike this down?
Well, the Supremacy Clause doesn't give blanket immunity to state laws. Quite the contrary. I'll give you just as an aside an example. Federal employees have to abide by traffic rules in their respective states. The Supremacy Clause basically asserts that we cannot interfere in federal operations. Well, federal operations have been conducted for decades and decades without masks. It's never been necessary. It's a new construct conceived to terrorize our diverse communities, to instill fear and chaos. It's quite clear that that's the case. It's simply unnecessary. And then they manifest a justification that could be manifested in every category of society today. If doxing is a concern, then legislate the solution to those concerns. We have well-established guidelines in our penal code and civil code sections here in the state of California. Judges, I imagine, would not be immune from those concerns, certainly not elected officials, certainly not members of the media or celebrities or neighbors for that matter. These are foundationless requirements that they have manufactured. Let me then back that up in a way that they haven't. There's an assertion that somehow there is exponential increase in assaults on officers, but they will not provide the data. They will not provide that information. All they've provided is misinformation and misdirection. One agency saying one thing, another agency saying something altogether different. Look at the data sets. They will not provide with transparency that information. I have great respect for law enforcement, great respect for the men and women that try to do the right thing, take their oath of office seriously, and want to assert themselves in a manner of dignity and grace. But those at Homeland Security, their director, Stephen Miller, those words do not represent their actions and what they're trying to impose in terms of their will all across this country, and that's why we felt this is necessary. So we're going to test the theory long-windedly.
So what does anti-doxing legislation look like?
Well, there's the legislation that's been introduced federally in June, quite specific. Law Enforcement Anti-Doxing Act that was introduced, as well established online behavior and criteria as it relates to online behavior that's well established here in the state of California, that's already law. Force the law, legislate the solutions. But again, if you're going to go down that path, do judges then start getting masked? Do elected officials start masking themselves? Does anyone that's on the receiving end of modern day bullying as it relates to online activity? That's why we have laws, enforce the laws. If the law is inadequate, change the law or amend the law or create a new law. And I have no problem supporting those efforts.
Gavin Newsom, what are you doing? This is Maria Hinojosa with Latino USA from New York, so I'm getting used to the weather.
This is more, today is a little more,
New York?
yeah, I'm just saying. Just saying.
It's only 9 months in under President Trump. Can you tell us what you're expecting and what are you preparing to do for what might be coming?
Well, Well, look, I mean, you saw it January 6th. He tried to break this country. He tried to light democracy on fire. He's trying to impose his will. He doesn't believe in the rule of law. He believes in the rule of dawn, period, full stop. Next year, we're going to celebrate, I hope, the enduring principles of our founding fathers, 250th anniversary of this great nation, co-equal branches of government, this notion of popular sovereignty. All of that is under threat. That's why we have the Election Rigging Response Act in the state of California, as he's quite literally trying to rig the next election. He's not just doing it in Texas, he's doing it in Missouri, Indiana, Florida. We'll see what happens in Utah and Ohio. We're pushing back. We're using our formal authority and we're using our moral authority in a state that can punch above its weight, in a state that's the fourth largest economy in the world, the size of 21 state populations combined. So we mean business. We're fighting fire with fire. We're not rolling over to this. I'm not going to watch this country destroyed in real time. 40-plus lawsuits, and we're outperforming. We keep winning. And so we're going to continue to fight. We're not going to roll over. That's what today represents. We're going to fight for all of us, for our diverse communities, and for those that feel like they can't even walk their dogs, can't even go to school, can't even show up at a graduation, are scared to death to go into a community clinic to prevent an illness, let alone go after they have an illness. This is a chill. This is chilling. This is serious. I walked into a restaurant the other day. Entire staff came out, started hugging me and crying. The hell is that? The United States of America. What he's doing to our diverse communities, what he's doing to the fabric of our society. So all of that is in our minds today as we push back.
Governor, the state of California, the state of Illinois, Los Angeles, Chicago, has there been any conversation between you and Governor Pritzker in terms of any kind of strategic coordination?
Well, we deeply, in fact, significantly on posse comitatus. I think it was very determinative. We had a federal judge on the posse comitatus question where we were successful, Justice Breyer. It occurred right at the peak of the dialectic between the state of Illinois and the Trump administration as it relates to Trump's efforts to federalize troops in Illinois. And Trump backed off days after that decision. So our legal teams substantively are engaged. And our legislative efforts are deeply aligned. We also work through organizations like the Democratic Governors Association. We used to work through the NGA that believed in federalism and 10th Amendment. That's frayed a little in Trump's America because he's bullying every single one of these Republican governors into submission. Sad and tragic. We work around that.
Governor, some of these laws have raised constitutional questions.
Well, I mean, I think the actions we asserted today, the laws that we just advanced today, run in complete contrast to what she's asserting and what she's pushing.
Governor, thank you very much. Some of these laws have raised constitutional questions around the state's role in federal operations. Are these legally defensible laws?
Yes. We're not getting, federal government has the right with federal resources to enforce federal laws, period, full stop. That's never been in question. It's well established. In fact, Ninth Circuit adjudicated along those lines when the Trump administration 1.0 asserted otherwise. So I don't say this as an elected official. I say that on the basis of legal fact. And so we continue to be very mindful of that. Look, we are clear in the legislation that was just passed and signed that judicial orders or warrants provide an exemption to the criteria that we have established. As it relates to the supremacy clause, we think that, again, does not provide blanket immunity. But no question that will be tested. I'm not naive about that. But please tell me, I'm old enough to have been around in the 80s and 90s, and I even remember the early parts of 2000. I don't remember people taking a foreign exchange student and throwing her back of a van, disappearing her because she co-authored an op-ed that the Supreme Leader didn't like. I don't recall that. I don't recall people jumping out of the back. I just don't. With masks on and unmarked cars, or maybe it was a marked U-Haul truck. in terrorizing people at a shopping mall or going to car washes or just collaterally taking someone who was selling strawberries off the streets or showing up where 2 U.S. senators and dozens of elected officials assembled to intimidate them, or federalize, for that matter, the National Guard against the will and the whims of elected officials in the state. This is a whole together different thing that you see in Orban's Hungary, not the United States of America. You see this in Kim Jong-un's North Korea. You see this in Putin's Soviet Union. This is the United States of America. There are certain fundamental principles and values that are at stake. And so we're putting a stake in the ground, and we're holding the line, and we're pushing back.
Last question.
Governor, it's a long way between here and January. Can you talk about why that no mask law will go into effect?
Well, just 99.9% of the laws we sign go into effect in the next fiscal year. So just as the nature of the process to actually get this over the line and get this bill to my desk. And so it will give us the opportunity to make the case. And if there is a case as it relates to a court case, gives us the opportunity as well to organize a counter claim, and we'll see what happens. But we're certainly mindful that this is the first state in the country to do what we just did, and I expect other states will follow suit, as is often the case with California. The future happens here first. Where America's coming attraction, it's a point of pride and responsibility. We have to do more. We have to do better. We're constantly asking ourselves, how can we do more? How can we do better? And I think today we did more, and we are doing better. Thank you, guys.